Hey there, my design divas on Instagram. Don't you guys look great today? Yes, you do, my professional divas and my DIY design loving divas. And hello there to you, my design lovers on Facebook. And yes to you again. Yes to my DIY design lover, design loving divas, and to my professional design divas. It's so good to be here with you. So I'm Donna Hoffman. They call me the Interior Design Advocate, and that is because I advocate on behalf of design lovers everywhere. If you're one of my professional design divas, we coach you into building your business into amazing things. And if you're one of my design divas working on your own home, then I coach you in how to do what you want to do in your home as gorgeously as you possibly can. So when we stop our life here at our luxury design team. I run a luxury company here in the Philadelphia region of the United States. And when we stop what we're doing here every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, to come out and talk to you, generally we either do a topic that's just for our DIY design lovers or just a topic for our Design Diva professional community. And then we thought, sometimes we can actually blend everybody together. And it occurred to me because a couple of years ago, I had a really neat client who loved design. And I invited her to come to a CPE class down at the Design Center because I thought the topic would really be of interest to her. And she loved it. She said, I loved hearing what designers were talking about. I loved getting the inside skinny. This happened to be been about furniture design. And she said it was just so fascinating for her. And there was a lot of meaty takeaway for her there. So I thought, we should have both sides of the aisle talking to each other a little more. Wouldn't that be nice to see in a couple of other areas of our life? Rhymes with schmolitics, but I won't go there. Anyway, so today's topic is something that I felt affected everybody, both my design-loving divas who are working in your own home, as well as my design professionals who are running projects, running jobs, and also having to satisfy client needs. So today we're talking about a sticky topic, and it is one that I will take your questions on. Please keep your questions on topic, and I'll take your questions while I'm out here live. But today we're talking about when to fire your subcontractor and how. Even as I say that, I get a little like something stuck in my throat. It's awful when that happens. Let's just set the stage here. I love my subcontractors. I think subcontractors everywhere are just pillars of talent. They can do things that we can't do. They are talented craftspeople, and I want to make sure that you hire really well, that you're vetting well, that you're hiring the best subcontractors that you can into your projects for your clients, that you're hiring the best contractors that you can on your own into your own home if you're working on your own. That goes without saying. You don't hire someone just because your mom used them 4 years ago. Companies change. They do. You don't hire someone just because you used them 10 years ago. Companies change. They do. Crews change. You don't hire someone because your neighbor used them and you don't do any sort of background check or Better Business Bureau investigation, right? You've got to be a smart consumer. And if you are a design professional, I'll tell you right now, you have to do a lot of due diligence, because if you give someone's name out to a client, that is a direct reflection on you. Do not recommend the lowest cost group, the lowest cost guy, the lowest cost gal. Don't do it, because in most cases, 99.999% of the cases, that lowest cost subcontractor, painter, wallpaper installer, electrician, plumber, whatever, there's a reason that they're the lowest cost. Something's off, because in the world of design, I have said this before, you do not get something less. Or I should say, I said it wrong. You do not get something for less. You get something less for less. Something gets traded out. So if you're a professional designer, you want to vet like crazy before as you get to know a subcontractor. If you can, use them in your own home for something. Interview them, do background checks, check with the Better Business Bureau, the whole 9 yards, the whole gadilla. If you're a design consumer, you want to do the same thing. So I'm going to assume you're already doing all that. But what do you do when something goes wrong? Because sometimes things do go wrong. And why do they go wrong with a talented subcontracting team? Usually it's a couple of reasons, which include they got a new crew member in who's not that good. They brought in a new team because they're growing. I'm going to tell you a true story about a wonderful painter who I loved to bits, and we gave him a lot of referral, a lot of business that way. He grew. His company grew, so he brought in more painters underneath him, and he wasn't on site checking what was going on. That happens. So in other words, people start to grow, they add more team members, and it's possible their quality control goes down. Okay? So those are two common scenarios that can happen if things start to go wrong with a subcontracted team who you've already done the homework on. You know they're aces. You've worked with them before. They checked out well. You've seen their work, but something still went wrong. Very often that is the case. Now, there can be human error also, which is correctable. All right? So we're going to talk about when to fire a subcontractor and how. So we've laid the groundwork. We can all agree you have to vet well. I think you all might agree now that there are reasons that a subcontracting team might change for reasons unbeknownst to a designer, for reasons unbeknownst to a design consumer, right? So that's why things can go off the rails. So what do you do after you vetted well and something still goes wrong? The following is what will help you. Number one, you got to make sure you get all the facts on what went wrong and why. You got to make sure you get all the facts on what the fix might be and if there is an acceptable fix, okay? Who will be absorbing the cost on that fix? Most likely it should not be you, the end user, or the consumer and or your client. And really importantly, you have to keep your verbiage neutral. You have to take editorial out. You have to keep the emotional landscape as neutral as possible. If you're a professional designer, guys, your clients are going to be really upset and really, fired up emotionally. You need to just stay mid-ground as much as possible. So I'm going to give you an example through a true story. Clients that I absolutely adore working with or adored working with, and we finished their residence for them. I'm going to call them Tammy and Jay because that's their name. Super clients, very meticulous clients, definitely notice and want things just so, but that's how I am as a designer and with my team, so we work well together. And I recommended a wonderful painting team to them, and I loved the head of this team. Sweetheart of a guy, big teddy bear, nice person, smart guy, just kind, and the people loved him, and his work was good, and he always priced out right in the middle. He's never the highest bid, never the lowest bid. Well, I get a very unhappy email followed by a phone call on a Sunday. I generally don't hear from my clients via phone on a Sunday, but my client was very emotional. He was very angry. His wife was very upset and emotional, and things had not gone well on site with this painter, with this team, and there were obvious drip marks, according to my client, in the foyer hallway walls. There had been a paint spill out in the driveway that somebody tried to cover up with a garbage can, and there were drip marks as well on the wall in the basement that had just been finished. I said, okay. I stayed calm, and first thing I said to my client was, Jay, I will be right over. I don't want you to be upset about this. We're gonna look into this and we will handle this. And he said, I want to fire this guy, and he was really fired up. I said, Jay, we may well end up firing this person. I said, but there's a way to do it so that you'll get what you need and want, and there'll be a smooth transition in power. So we're in subcontractor. So I called the painter, Mike, and I'll call him Mike, not really his name. And I said, Mike, the clients are not happy. I understand there's something going on. How soon can you meet me there so that we can review this together and look at what needs to happen to remedy the situation? What needs to happen to remedy the situation? I didn't say, hey, we're going to fire you, or hey, we might fire you, or hey, what the hell? I didn't say any of that. It was very neutral. And he said, what's going on? I said, well, evidently there's some drip marks. I haven't seen it yet, but I will. So we scheduled the time for the next morning when he was going to be there. I got there ahead of our subcontractor so I could review everything with my client, and she was in tears, and he was ready to punch someone. He was furious, and I saw that things were not good. So I knew what needed to happen. I knew we needed to dismiss this person, but I told my clients what we're going to do is discuss an outboarding plan with Mike when he gets here, but please let me handle it. And Jay, stay really calm. Tammy, stay calm. I've got this. I've got this handled. So again, they're emotional. I'm staying calm because I know there's a solution to everything. I know we're going to find the solution. But what I wanted to do is have the discussion with the subcontractor to make sure he understood where his responsibility was in all of this. I wasn't looking forward to it because I loved this guy professionally, sweetheart, good professional buddy at this point. We'd worked together for years. So I had my client in the room, the painter in the room, and I said, I did all the talking. I said, okay, Mike, so here's the story. Tammy and Jay have told me, have pointed out to me these drip mark issues, and do you see what we're talking about? I got his buy-in. He said, yeah, I do. I said, me too. And let me take you down to the basement. Let's take a look at some areas where there's a lot of drip marking on the wall as well. And he looked at that. I said, do you agree that there are some problems? He said, yeah, I do. And I said, okay, there was an issue outside as well. Showed him this, and he was kind of mortified that this paint spill on a blacktop driveway. Somebody tried to cover it up with a garbage can. His eyes got wide. He said, I was not even aware of any of these things. And I said, I said, I got it. I said, let's head back inside to speak. And I said, Mike, do you have a plan to correct these things? And he said, well, yeah, we can come in and we can sand and we can do, and he talked about what his plan was. And I let him speak, and the client is just, listening. And I said, yeah, I think that's a really interesting plan. And I said, obviously that would be at no cost to the client, correct? He said, yes, absolutely no cost. And I said to my client, prior to the subcontractor getting there, if he offers to correct it, do you want him to correct it? And their answer was, we don't trust this person anymore. He should have quality controlled his own work, inspected it, corrected it, and he should have come clean about this problem on the driveway. So I already knew the client was not interested in having him do this, but I wanted him to at least be able to step up, own the mistake, and offer a viable solution, which he did. I will correct it. And then I had to say, Mike, unfortunately, there's been a real loss of faith here with our client, between Tammy and Jay in your office. I said, so instead of having you correct it, what we need to talk about instead, please, is a solid outboarding plan. How do we outboard you and bring in another paint team so it's a real clean and easy transfer? In other words, I'll want to know, where's the existing paint that hasn't been used yet. Let's just agree where the problem areas are. We'll annotate those so that you can work out on your final invoice to Tammy and Jay where you're not completing work or there was a problem, and you can work out between the two of you what that remedy would be. Mike, does that sound fair to you? I kept checking with him, does that sound fair to you? So my clients were staying neutral. They weren't saying very much. They were listening. They could see I was handling it. The subcontractor saw I was not attacking him. I wasn't saying, you son of a bitch, look what you did, you idiot. None of that. Something went wrong, and I'll tell you what in my conversation with Mike after the fact. So he ended up leaving. I could see he felt terrible. I felt awful doing that, having that conversation with him. But I felt it would have been an easier conversation with me there as opposed to my client being, really upset on behalf of his wife and on behalf of himself. The client thanked me profusely. I apologized to the client. I said, I apologize. I said, this is a subcontractor we've known, and trusted for years. I said, I don't really know what happened, but you've shared with me he wasn't on site a lot, which is unusual. I'm used to him being on site a lot. The client said, Donna, we love the way you handled this just now. We don't hold any of this against you. So as a designer who recommended this person, and I'm feeling terrible for my client having recommended this person, I showed the client that I'm there to advocate on their behalf, the design advocate, right? And to get the right and just outcome for them. I neutralized the situation, and then I did talk to the subcontractor afterwards privately, and I said, I want you to know how painful that was for me, because I think you're a fantastic person. I've always loved your work. I've loved recommending you through the years. And he immediately said, Donna, I hope you'll continue to recommend me. I said, I didn't answer yes or no. I just said, listen, I think you're a fantastic person, right? I didn't commit to, how could I recommend this person after this happened, right? But I didn't say that. Instead, I said, Mike, what happened? He said, my company grew. He said, and I brought on some new painters, and he said, I dropped the ball. I should have been on site. I should have been watching things and correcting and checking things. He said, I didn't, and I dropped the ball there. And I said, listen, this was a painful lesson for you, I'm sure. I said, but the good news is that this probably won't happen to you again. Because now on every other job with this new crew or any new crew you put in, you're going to be there at the beginning of the job, the end of the day, checking things and looking this over. So as painful as this, I know this was for you, hopefully we helped you dodge a future bullet. So I tried to make it as positive an experience, positive as possible for him, protect my client, and then move forward from there. So if you're one of my design divas working on your own home and this happens, take the lesson for being neutral, no accusatory language, keep tempers even, because what you don't want is to get into a pissing match with somebody who is in your home, has had access to your home. You want to have a smooth transition from here to there. When you attack somebody, they're not going to examine their own work and say, yeah, you know what? I dropped the ball there. Yeah, those are some sloppy seams on that wallpaper or whatever. So you want to get their buy-in, and you want to find an ethical and fair outboard. Does this make sense to you? Give me a wave or comment or something if this makes sense to you. So I hope this never happens to you, but if you're a design professional, things might happen that are beyond your control. Gosh only knows that this stuff happens. And if you're a design consumer, this stuff can happen too. And I'm getting, some waves and some hearts on this. So it's making sense to people. So if you have a subcontractor problem or question you want to share with me, get feedback on, my input on, my opinion on, or you've got a question about one of your subcontractors, by all means, put it in now, and I'm happy to take it while I'm here live. Okay, so I don't have any questions from my on Facebook, which is great. So everybody is just giving me hellos and telling me that this all makes sense. Great. While you're putting in questions, if you have questions, I'll tell you what we're working on next week. Next week, we're talking about why DIY, do it yourself, when you can DWO, decorate with others, and what it means to design with others in our community here at the Interior Design Advocates. So happy to take your questions now about subcontractor problems, or if you want to share a problem that you had to help somebody else, no problem. And if not, we will wrap early and I'll get the rest of my workday done. If you are not already following us at our Instagram feed, at decorating.genius is the way to find us, at decorating.genius. You guys are already doing that. And if you missed any portion of this YouTube video, or this video, it will be on YouTube at the Interior Design Advocate. That's how you find us on YouTube, at the Interior Design Advocate. All right, well, I believe we don't have any questions on the topic. It was so clear. We didn't need any questions. Good. And I think that does it for today. Okay, lovelies, I have loved seeing you. I will see you next week, 4 p.m. Eastern. We're talking about why DIY, when you can DWO, decorate with others, and go forth and have a great week. Okay, everybody, see you later. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Donna. Thanks so much for watching. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and comment below so I know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to the Interior Design Advocates channel so you don't miss any of our great content.